Hi everyone. Today we are going to have the Gen Attitude with Rebecca Palmer from Canada. And we are going to have a special edition because, school is over and our children are going out of school and what they should be doing in the summer. And because we are Gen Attitude, we will talk about the opportunity of having an entrepreneurial learning program for them. And we'll talk as an example with Rebecca from Canada, that I had a chance to meet this year. And hi, Rebecca.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Is school over in Canada?
No, we have another month of school to go, and then they'll be finished around June 30th.
But they start a little bit later, right? When do they
They
start?
start September 2nd-ish. So the first week of September is when our kids start school, and then they finish the last week of June.
Okay, that's very interesting. So kids in Moldova should not complain about having too much classes and too many hours during the school year. But tomorrow is June 1st. We, from Gen Attitude, are congratulating all the parents and all the children with their...
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca, I know a little bit about Entrepreneur Launch, but could you tell the audience a little bit more about what you are doing and what is your work in?
So EntreLaunch is a program for teens and tweens. So basically we're looking at age 10 all the way up to 24, focusing on developing the entrepreneurial mindset, giving them the skills they need to become entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs through workshops, activities.
Yes. We lost you a little bit, but I think through activities. Can you hear me well? No.
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. So basically, why did you start this project? What was your interest to start this project? Why was it the interest so big to work with kids? Because being a mother of two teenagers, I can recognize that it's not such an easy job, and being a mom, it's already enough for some parents.
Oh, for sure. So I'm a mom of four myself. My daughter actually turned 24 today. So happy birthday to Sarah. And my youngest is 9. I started my own business about 9 years ago. And through that, I became part of the entrepreneurial community and really involved in promoting entrepreneurship worldwide. And I also have watched my kids grow, and I've saw what they can do. And that has inspired me to really help other teens and tweens be able to create their own future. I know the job world is changing, and I know that kids today are unsure as to what they want to do with their lives. They're confused. They're feeling very trapped by going into traditional post-secondary school, and they need to know there's more options out there. I also know that kids are absolutely, absolutely amazing, and they have this creativity that has not yet been dampened by society. As adults, we start believing that we can't do it anymore, whereas kids, they're still eager to grow and explore and really try different things to see what works well. So they're more inventive, they're more innovative.
That's very interesting, because I think at the same time, when we try to help them, to immerse them into a certain culture and into an entrepreneurial culture, we can learn from them as well through their crazy ideas, because they, as you said, they're not stopped. They think that they are limitless.
Yes. Yeah.
How do we balance? So we give them the levers, but we do not influence their capacities and their attitudes and aspirations.
So it's by providing them with the tools and the knowledge of how to use them, that's where we can help them the most. So we want the kids to be able to lead themselves through the development process, to be able to develop ideas without us telling them they can't do it. By providing them the tools in the outline, such as things like the business model canvas, and teaching them how to create ideas and move through mind maps and things like that. Those are the things that help our kids be able to self-lead themselves through the creation of even a lemonade stand. They're able to imagine it in a different way. They're able to go and say, okay, well, I'll take this shoe, and what can I do with the shoe? And use their imagination to figure out how they can reuse the shoe. Maybe it's using the sole to the laces to do some type of artwork or something like that, but they're able to go through the process themselves because we've given them some guides to follow. And it has to be done in a very loose, informal format. We want to put as little restriction on them as possible while still giving them the tools that will help them go through the process.
What do you think are other components needed for children? For example, we're talking a lot about culture in terms of education and also in terms of community. So they have like kind of their peers
Mhm.
that they can correlate with, and that they can communicate about different, I don't know, crazy ideas and finding different solutions.
Mhm.
Do
We
you use that? How do you use it? How do you create them? How do you build trust so they can connect to the communities of their peers?
we have to connect our youth to the older community as well. Uh, One of the most important things is involving youth with adult businesses and showing them what is possible. The more the kids are introduced to new topics such as coding and woodworking, cooking, and other career avenues, the more they are encouraged to create different things and think differently themselves. If you don't know that social media is an option, if you don't know that becoming an astronaut is an option for you, you're not going to strive to take on that type of career because you're just not aware of it. So when we involve the kids actively in the community, both the entrepreneurial community and the general community, we're giving them that strong background. It's also proven that when you involve the youth in the community, that they feel more part of it. And even though they're going to go out and explore, they're going to go off to college or university or move away for a while, they're more likely to come back and launch their businesses or work in a community that's welcomed them with open arms and made them feel part of the world.
So basically, those that organize projects, community projects, and schools, or
Mhm.
not even schools, like programs, they can retain some of the
Mhm.
skills here in their own communities, so they are better connected and they feel that there are opportunities in their
Yes.
city, in their village, and they can collaborate together with others.
And one of the ways to do that is by providing mentors to youth. Put the mentors right in the schools, bring the schools into different community events, and make sure that there's volunteers going both ways because adults can learn from kids as well. The kids really easily adapt to new technology, so they can be teaching us the things that we don't know yet. But mentorship is definitely one of the most important things, and sharing stories. We have to share our stories with the youth. So, people speaking at schools is a good way to introduce youth to new topics. As I mentioned, volunteering, getting youth involved with other community groups, all excellent ways to involve them in the community and make them feel part of it.
Do you think that adults should teach to them, or should rather, I don't know, guide them through the process. I find it quite different, like because teaching them is giving them the only way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking from the perspective of the education provided here in my country,
Mm-hmm.
because teaching sometimes is giving them like there are certain ways, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there are no other ways, or
Mm-hmm.
we don't know other ways. So kind of narrowing their possibilities.
We
I don't know.
have,
What do you think? I know it's a
yeah.
philosophical question, but for me as a mother as well, I'm trying to learn from my kids, but also I want to guide them properly, and I really don't know which is the best way. So I'm asking you, like having practice with working with large groups
Mhm.
of children. What is your opinion about that?
A good teacher knows how to guide. It really is about guiding and leading. It's not about imposing your own rules or thoughts on people, because we need to have that freedom of expression. We do need to teach how to go about certain skills, but it still should be done in a manner more of guidance, where you're teaching the basic structure, but you're also allowing the kids to figure things out on their own as they go along. And one important part of teaching or even guiding is to make sure that you're addressing the learning through different styles, because each kid learns differently. Some kids will learn really well in a group setting, some need to learn individually. Some learn by touch, by writing, where others need to be seeing something visual. So it really is important to make sure that you're using different teaching methods to reach everyone. We're pretty fortunate here in Canada where our teachers are starting to adapt to different things. My own daughter's school, they use whiteboards and they use different types of technology. They're even doing meditation in the school just to help the kids learn better. Um, and now I've lost my train of thought. Anyways,
I,
yes, we need to teach, but we need to do it in a way that guides and helps lead them through the process. And something really important to remember is that a leader is not the boss or who's in charge. The leader is actually facilitating the rest of the group to be able to move forward.
mhm. Um, how do parents contribute or support you morally in developing their schedules, or in just I don't know, participating as coaches, as mentors, or something? Parents,
Hmm.
do they
The best
contribute?
thing parents can do is to support the interests of their child and make sure that you're exposing them to a wide variety of experiences. One of the things that I find uh, Canada is really bad for, and even the US as well, we tend to overbook our kids. We push them into dance and sports and piano and everything under the sun. And not only are we tiring ourselves out because we're running kids all over the place, we're also tiring them out. So instead of putting kids in every activity out there, we need to pay attention to what interests them, what's making them smile, what are they asking questions about, and then help them in those areas. Give them the tools they need to explore those areas more and find out what they love. And as parents, we're going to guide them as well. So we support them in their schoolwork, we support them find alternative ways to do things. We need to make sure we're encouraging them to know that there's options, that there's always options, because that's one of the things I find our kids often forget, that there are lots of options out there. And of course, we need to let them lead as well in their own interests, make sure they're going forward and finding out things they love.
If a parent, some suggestion, if a parent finds out a huge interest from his or her kid
Mhm.
in entrepreneurship, how can they support them emotionally and morally? Like
For
provide.
entrepreneurship, there's so many aspects to it. But if your kid, if your child really wants to pursue entrepreneurship as a career path, if they want to create something, uh, build out an idea, give them the emotional support, let them know that you're behind them that way, and help introduce them to people who can help them along the way. If you're not an expert in what they're working in, see if you can connect them with people who know how to do it, whether it's your local chamber of commerce or your library. Help them find entrepreneurial meetups and do what you can there. I'd also recommend giving them a few books to read. I'll recommend two of my favorite books here. One is Bold by Peter Diamandis. I actually have a copy right here. So this is the one book. And this book's all about exponential thinking. It's about taking your moonshot and striving high, reaching for the moon instead of settling for what is already in your view. You want to think beyond what you can see. And then the other book would be Simon Sinek's Start With Why, which is a really excellent book that will help kids learn that whatever they're creating, they need to think about why they're doing it in the first place. And when you know why you're doing something, it makes building that entrepreneurial project so much easier. So as parents, give them the emotional support, introduce them where you can, connect them to who you can, and just love them and guide them through it.
Do you think do you believe in organizing different competitions, different groups of kids so they can kind of compete among themselves or do some kind of projects on their own completely? Do you believe that could be some other options that parents that do not have access to programs like Entre Launch could apply in different communities or for their kids?
For sure. EntreLaunch itself has a program called Impact Cup, which is a 3-day challenge where kids go through idea creation to final pitch. And there's other programs similar to that around the world, including startup weekends, and there's a Global Entrepreneurship Network one too, startup, I can't remember the name of it, but there is a few different events. Pardon?
Deck Idea Challenge or some other competition?
There's another one right through Jen, but there are other things as well. There are Junior Achievers programs. There's DECA programs, Club Kidpreneur in Australia. Lots of different programs out there, and they're starting to build every day. There are also a lot of online learning opportunities. So one of the ones that may be a little bit advanced for some of the kids, but really I know what they're capable of, so they could do it easily, is Coursera. Coursera has a lot of courses on social entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship in general, as well as a ton of other subjects. And you can go on, register for a course, and take the course. It doesn't cost you anything unless you want a fancy certificate, yet you can learn all those skills that you need to be creating your business and to know what you're missing. Some of the most important things can be costing and pricing in your business, figuring out how the end user is going to use your product or service, figuring out adoption of your product or service. If you're inventing something and people don't know how to use it, then it's not going to be a successful product unless you're able to teach them easily how to use it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think I don't know, because we see a lot of those stories of how
Sorry.
that kids from different countries, they say that they start their businesses and that they are earning millions.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think those kind of stories can be inspiring for I don't know, for kids that just are starting?
For sure. The story, sharing any story can be inspiring. And when we share the stories of success of kids around the world, it really inspires other kids. My own kids have been inspired by people creating video games and organizations to help people in Haiti and things like that. So when we share the stories of what other people are doing, it definitely inspires youth. Locally, we have one youth from my hometown, about half an hour from here. She started doing science experiments in her basement at age 10 without proper equipment or anything else. And she is now going to be going to Harvard. She is working on some major scientific things, and she's did some work with viruses even. And this is someone who started at age 10. She's now 19. So sharing stories like that really, really inspire other kids.
Do so you are finding also role models locally, so to help them
Mm-hmm.
communicate with the person so they can learn from that person or do
Mm-hmm.
something else.
Yes.
What do you think our the future holds for our children? Let's say
Mm-hmm.
for the 15-year-olds or the 17-year-olds, because I know that in many American states, people are fearful of the technological disruption and how it's going to affect their own lives, and that there will be no jobs in the future for our children.
So the stats are showing that over 70% of current jobs are going to disappear in the next 20 years. Excuse me. And that's a staggering figure, 70% of current jobs. However, that 70% of current jobs is going to be a ton of new jobs in fields we haven't yet discovered. And it's going to be this generation that is creating those opportunities. Just think 10 years ago, there were not people who were social media managers or community managers, or at least very, very few. That job simply didn't exist. All the artificial intelligence work that's going on, there's still going to need to be humans supporting that field. So there are a ton of jobs that are going to be created in the next few years to replace all the current jobs that are disappearing. Artificial intelligence will replace a lot of the jobs. Look at things like Uber and taxis. Right now, right now taxis are there, but they're going to disappear as well with automatic cars coming. Self-driving cars are going to replace a lot of that industry. We're going to see a ton of disruption across the whole job market, where the jobs that are disappearing will be replaced by ones we haven't yet even imagined. Rapid transportation, indoor agriculture, just so many different things. Artificial meat. Who would have thought that would be something, growing meat in a petri dish? That could be the future. So as much as we're worried about jobs disappearing, there will be new jobs. And it's this generation that's going to create a lot of them. And that is what makes entrepreneurship even more important. We need to be able to create that entrepreneurial mindset in our youth, because our youth need to be able to think innovatively and be able to innovate within existing companies and existing fields. They also will be creating their own new businesses and employing people through those. They'll be creating jobs, and they're creating the future of work. So let's encourage them to create and innovate the heck out of it all, because they are our future, and they are the ones who will create the jobs of the future.
I think we should also mention, because more and more even children are aware of social challenges, but also about circular economy, which is going to help them understand the idea of sustainability and why recycling is important and why no waste processes in your business development is also really important. So I think those, if I may add, that would be also one of the opportunities and at the same time the challenges that the new generation is going to face.
For sure, and social impact is so important. As we're building any new business, we need to consider what type of impact it will have in the world, and how we can help not only our local community but our global community. The best thing right now about our next generation is that they're already born thinking globally. They're not just thinking locally. They have access to more information today than our world leaders had 10 years ago. And it's all at their fingertips. You can go online and find out virtually anything and how to do um, basically anything out there. You can teach yourself. That wasn't an option in the past. So as we are encouraging our kids to innovate and create, we also need to help them realize how that innovation or creation can impact the world. How can we create a socially responsible business? How can we be giving back while we're giving forward? And what impact is it having on the lives of others?
I think one the other aspect right now for them is to be able to focus and to
Mhm.
choose. To be able to choose because there is so much information and there are so many opportunities. And sometimes pragmatically calculating things,
Mhm.
they are going to be drawn to ideas
Mhm.
that will seem feasible, but they will not be committed to because it's not coming from within. It's not coming from their life mission. So
Mhm.
I think one of the aspects that our children need to take into consideration is that be focused and try to identify what really matters to you and why
Mhm.
you're deciding, as you said.
Yeah. And that is one of the main reasons I suggest the book Start with Why, because it helps you identify why you're doing it. There's also a thing called Ikigai. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong, but it's Ikigai. And basically, that's looking at the intersection of your passion, your vocation, your perceived purpose, and your profession to find that sweet spot where uh, you figure out what the best option is for you, for what you're passionate about, and what you're good at in order to make that impactful job and impactful work for you. Because you're right, there are a ton of choices out there. And I know many entrepreneurs, including myself, have struggled. Which way do we go? What do we do? What path do we choose? What is the right path? What am I good at? What should I do? And it's a really big struggle where I know many people who have taken years to decide. Myself, I toyed with vertical hydroponic farming inside cargo containers. Really interested me, but I know I'm not the right person to run it. So sometimes it's letting go of things that aren't quite the right fit. Our kids are also extremely, extremely overwhelmed. In Canada, our kids are basically told by grade 10 that they have to make all these life choices, and that if they don't take this course or that course or do this or do that, they won't get to go to university or college and uh, do what they think they might want to do at grade 9. Now, it's complete um, silliness, because the truth is you always have options, and our kids can always take different courses. There's always options to go to university or college later in life. But they don't seem to see it. They're so stressed that they just don't see the options anymore. And they feel very confused and frustrated and don't know what to do with their lives. So, one of the things we try to do at EntreLaunch is also encourage kids to make sure they are aware that there's always options, there's always ways to do something different. And figuring that out can be through a number of steps to figure out what your goals are in life, what you want to do, and then look at what you perceive as your blocks and remove each block as you go. We need to reduce the limitations, and many of them are, what's the word? I'm completely blanking on the word. Limiting beliefs. So many of the times we have limiting beliefs that we think we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do that. So we need to change that mindset and get rid of those limiting beliefs. And it's something very, very important for the kids, because they need to let go of those limiting beliefs and they need to allow themselves to change their paths if they find out they're going down the wrong path. So if they went to school to take marketing and they figure out it really isn't what interests them, then give them the opportunity, give them the power to be able to say, this is not quite the right thing. I need to look at something else.
Yeah, and I think even more that I think with the biotechnologies and everything,
Mhm.
uh, people that will be 40 or 50 or
Mhm.
60 in 20 or 30 years will treat themselves more as a younger generation than we do, because we are becoming younger by each year, because we
Mhm.
have different lifestyle, different burdens, and life has become more comfortable for people, and they have
Mhm.
different possibilities to enhance their health, and
Mhm.
which leads to longer longevity. This word is so
Yes.
complicated.
And
So
the
basically,
one, mhm. The one other
I think
interesting
that
thing to think about is that the kids are going to school for traditional employment right now. They're going to school taking things for jobs that they know exist. Those jobs are all disappearing. So
yeah,
as new jobs are created, new career options, new ideas, their career path may change because they're then exposed to something else they can do. If you don't know it exists, you're not going to aspire to it. So as you go through college, university, or whatever you're doing post-secondary school, you're going to keep being exposed to new experiences and opportunities. And that's where you need to be able to adapt and say, okay, I can change my career. For me, I started as a law clerk. I actually almost went to law school to become a lawyer. And then instead, I opened my first business. And it was from opening my first brick and mortar business that I was exposed to the world of entrepreneurship and found my true passion, my passion to help others and to help kids in particular by giving them their own power to create entrepreneurial experiences.
yeah, and yeah, that's really, really important. And
Mhm.
as Steve Blank has said sometime, it's that we cannot really connect the dots forward, but we can connect them backwards. So basically, we can
Mhm.
understand them, we can understand what led to our current opportunities. So
Mhm.
for our kids, as parents, we can only set a positive example so they can remain flexible and be able
Mhm.
to adjust and to be resilient to the changes that are in this world. So, and
Mhm.
as Peter Drucker said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. So,
Mhm.
creating a better future, if we give our kids the tools, it's going to be the best opportunity that they can have for themselves.
For sure. And that those are some of the most important things parents can do. And educators, teachers, anybody who has any influence on youth, uh, let them know that it's okay to change and be resilient and adapt as things come up. Those are very, very important skills. It's vital to the future of our kids and to our own well-being.
Yeah. I think it's a good way to finish our discussion
Mhm.
today. And I am really happy we had this discussion. And I think there are many philosophical questions that I am left as a parent for
Mhm.
me. And I think many other people that are going to watch this, they will have their own questions to answer for themselves. And the best thing we can do is try to intuit or to feel what's best for our
Mhm.
kids. And of course, we will fail a lot in different things and we will make mistakes. Our kids will make mistakes
Mhm.
as entrepreneurs, and we'll have many failures, and we'll have many lessons to learn. But as long as they stay flexible, it's going to be
Mhm.
easy and they will be able to move faster from one rejection to the other.
Mhm.
And that emotional resilience is really, really important for any kid.
And you know, you bring up that one really important point. You need to be able to accept failure. Failure is not a bad word. However, we've made it into a bad word. Failure is good. Failure means you're trying. And we need to fail constantly on our path to success. So don't worry so much about failure. As long as you're learning from it, failure is never a bad thing. Just keep moving forward, do something different.
I have one saying that one of my mentors and coaches in life says, she's saying always, she's a woman entrepreneur, and she says always that if I don't fail enough, that means that I am not setting high enough goals.
Mhm.
So I'm leaving that with that thought, the kids
Mhm.
and the parents. And congratulations to you, Rebecca, on the Mother's Day, because it's a Mother's Day as well for
Mhm.
us, and on the International Children Day.
Oh, is that today?
It's tomorrow, but
Oh, it's okay.
it's tomorrow,
Okay,
June
I
1st.
completely forgot. Yes.
It's the International Children's Day, and we are celebrating. People are not parents are given the opportunity to have and to have a time with their kids and spend it. So there are many different activities in our town, so you
Mhm.
can go and spend it and make it a beautiful experience
That is
uh,
wonderful.
for ourselves as parents.
Hmm. Absolutely wonderful.
So congratulations to everyone. Nice talking
Thank
to
you.
you, Rebecca.
Nice to talk to you too.